Dream Drive, real deal. Get up to a $75 prepaid Visa card when you purchase a set of qualifying Cooper tires. Selling Cooper tires and other quality brands at Vermont Tire and Service in Montpelier and South Burlington.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to WDEV@radiovermont.com.
The energy.
So the barber trims my beard all nice, like an artist. Now, I didn't tell him to do that. I wanted the beard gone. So then I went home and shaved it off completely after I was done. I felt horrible.
The passion.
Rafael Devers is the biggest contract in franchise history. He needs to be a leader for this Red Sox team.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
Are the Patriots close to playoff contention? Yes. Are they close to Super Bowl contention? Hell no.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday to you here on the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. A weird day here for us just at the station in that, game was supposed to start at 11 o'clock, 11:10. Supposed to then have the getaway with Greg Hooker. Greg's here waiting to play music after the game ends. And then we get rain delays and Greg just leaves at 4 o'clock. Like, well, nothing for me to do today, I guess. So, and then as a result, we don't start the afternoon news service till like 4:50. Just a weird day. So we're back on schedule now. Red Sox lose. It's okay. They do get a good series victory over the Angels, but would have been nice to have today's win. And that's a game that they could have had, but they lose to the Angels by a score of 5-4. We'll have the highlights for you in about 15 minutes. We do have a ton to get to, though, on this Monday. We'll talk about the Celtics and their Game 1 win over Atlanta. We'll get you ready for the Bruins. Yes, I'll talk hockey. It is the playoffs. I promised you. Bruins and Panthers today. Will Patrice Bergeron play? We'll give you the update on that. Some info on UVM men's basketball, and Aaron Deloney is going to stop by to talk about his decision to come back to Catamount Country next year for a 5th year. So Emma Utterback, Delaney Richardson back on the women's side, Aaron Deloney back on the men's side. So if you're in favor of your Catamount Stars staying together next year, well, you've done pretty well this offseason. So Deloney with us at about 6:10. You can get in on the text line, 802-585-3026. That's 802-585-3026. You can watch us live on YouTube. You can also stream us on my Twitter account or on Facebook Live as well.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Edithsburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They are online at sticksandstuff.com. So game 1 on Saturday, Celtics roll the Hawks. Final score of that one was 112-99. Celtics only won by 13, but heck, they were up 30 at the half. It got a little bit squirrely. Third quarter into the fourth quarter, it got a little bit squirrely. I'm not crazy about how the Celtics led Atlanta back into the game and let them off the hook and gave them a chance to get some confidence going into game 2. But mostly it was a clear and mostly it was a decisive victory for the Celtics, who started their quest to get back to the NBA Finals off on the right note. And look, Saturday's game, it just really proved what I said last week. Atlanta isn't as good as them. I'm not a believer in Trae Young. And that's really as far as this goes for me. The Celtics are going to win this series. I think they're going to win in 5 because Atlanta has one, quote, star player, and their one star isn't as good as your 2. And it's that simple, really. The Celtics are just a better team. The Celtics are a deeper team. The Celtics are a more physical team. And all the things that you would want the Celtics to do, essentially they did. And all the things that Atlanta would need to do, they didn't do on Saturday. I mean, the Celtics clearly have the ability to blow Atlanta out. The Hawks can do some nice things, but the Celtics can also suppress those things enough to get victories. And like Saturday, can totally dominate as well. I don't think that Atlanta can win with as a team, as an organization, with Trae Young being their total focal point. Right? He's too small. The Celtics are too physical defensively. They can take turns on him. They're versatile. They can rough him up. They can tire him out. They can frustrate him. And that's exactly what happened on Saturday. Trae Young on Saturday had just 16 points. He shot 28% from the floor. Right? When guarded by Marcus Smart, Trae Young was 2 of 6. When guarded by Derek White, Trae Young was 2 of 7. They effectively took him out of the game, and Atlanta left him on the bench most of the fourth quarter. And heck, a lot of their effectiveness in the fourth quarter came with Trae Young on the bench. That tells you everything you need to know. If you are a 7 seed and you're looking to win a game on the road at the number 2 seed, your star is going to have to go crazy. And Trae Young didn't do that, right? He didn't go for 35. He didn't go for 42. If Trae Young was going to go for 42, then Atlanta would have a chance to win that game. He goes for 16. As a result, they have no chance. Look, I've said Trae Young's too small. Well, all weekend we saw small, thin guards play well, right? De'Aaron Fox played well. Steph Curry played well. Guards can win in the playoffs. That was proven this weekend. Trae Young couldn't. The Celtics are too good defensively, and they are too physical, and they were able to take him out of the game. The Celtics dominated the perimeter portion of this game. Again, if Atlanta's going to win, I always talk come March Madness about how UVM can pull an upset. It usually involves, in fact, it always involves, if they shoot great from 3. Like, that's the great equalizer. If you're going to shoot great from 3 as an underdog, you got a good chance to win a game. Atlanta didn't do that. Celtics dominated this game from a perimeter standpoint. Led by Trae Young, this Hawks team is supposed to be a team that can light it up from deep. They went 5 of 29 from 3. 5 of 29. Young was 1 of 5. Bogdanovich was 2 of 7. DeJounte Murray was 0 of 6. Celtics hit 13 threes in all. They hit 5. Celtics outscored Atlanta by 24 points beyond the arc. And that right there, you're going to win most games when you do that. If Atlanta had hit 13 threes and the Celtics 5, then Atlanta would have had a good chance to win. But the Celtics dominated this game from a perimeter standpoint, and Atlanta couldn't rebound from it. Speaking of rebounding, the glass was supposed to be something we were worried about. Atlanta top 2 in the league since Quinn Snyder took over in offensive rebounding rate. Celtics out-rebounded Atlanta in total by 13 points, or by 13 boards. It's a good way to win games. So now you start thinking about all the different pathways that maybe Atlanta would have to win this game, and the Celtics closed them off. Could Atlanta win this game by outshooting the Celtics? That was cut off. Could Atlanta win this game by having their star outperform your stars? That was cut off. Could Atlanta win this game by dominating the glass? That was cut off. Atlanta had 14 offensive rebounds. That's too many. It's more than the Celtics got. But all in all, the Celtics out-rebounded Atlanta by 13. 58 rebounds for the Celtics, 45 for the Hawks. And there you go. Jaylen Brown said this was a focus for us, and they succeeded at it.
Rebound is the key to this series. So that's been a point of emphasis for us in every practice. Try to keep those guys off the glass. They're young, they're athletic, and they crash hard. And that's going to continue to be our challenge during this series, is just keeping those guys off the glass, which is tough. They got some great rebounders on their team.
Celtics also had 5 players in double figures. Now, Atlanta had 5 players in double figures as well, but the Celtics' 5 players in double figures was far more dominant than Atlanta's. Celtics had 3 players get 24 points or more, right? Jaylen Brown, 29, I think. Jason Tatum, 25. Derek White, 24. 3 Celtics players get 24 or more. Only 1 Hawks player had more than 16. Everywhere you turn, the Celtics were dominating here. Everywhere you turn, the Celtics were dominating. We're dominant. Peter in Williston says, Celtics got disinterested, are going to be ready to make it 2-0 going into Atlanta. I agree. Atlanta management may have made a series of blunders because of the news they're open to trading Trae Young. and he's a younger player that could affect his psyche. Maybe he's already checked out. I don't know about that, but I think Atlanta is right to try to trade Trae Young. You know what I see Trae Young as? I see Trae Young as a smaller, thinner version of James Harden, and therefore not as good. And we saw how that worked out. I don't know if that's a perfect comparison, but that's kind of who I see Trae Young as. A smaller, thinner, not as good version of James Harden. And James Harden in Houston, I actually think was a pretty good soldier until the end. He blew up the franchise at the end, but he was there for a while, right? And he seemed to play pretty well with Chris Paul and, seemed to play, I think he even was fine with Westbrook, as I recall, but I have to check my timeline on everything there. But by and large, James Harden was good in Houston. They just couldn't get over the hump. I don't even think Trae Young is that good. I don't think that Trae Young is that guy. I think he's a guy who's more likely to get hurt because he's small. I think he's a guy that isn't as prolific a scorer as James Harden because he doesn't get to the line like James Harden can. And I just think that, we saw how this has gone career-wise for James Harden. He's better as a number two, right? Or at this point in his career, he's certainly better as a number two. Yeah, Chris Paul was in Houston for 2 years. I thought maybe it was a little bit more than that, but James Harden seemed to be fine with him. I mean, Harden is better as a two with Embiid, right? And I think at some point, Trae Young's going to be better as a number two as well. I'd be more than willing to trade Trae Young. The question is I don't know who exactly is going to want him because I think they're going to see what I'm seeing. They're going to want him to be a two, and I don't know that Trae Young's going to want to be a two. I don't think he sees himself as a two. I think he sees himself as a one. I think where Atlanta's kicking themselves is that, as if I'm remembering correctly, they drafted Luka number 4 and then traded him to Dallas for Trae Young. That's where they're going to be kicking themselves, is that they had Luka. They had him on their roster, and they got rid of him for Trae Young. And that, to me, was the wrong choice. Weird weekend in general, by the way, in the NBA playoffs. Obviously, injuries were a huge part of this weekend. We saw a lot of lower seeds winning this. 8-seeded Miami beats Milwaukee. Wonder how Giannis is. 7-seeded Lakers beat 2nd-seeded Grizzlies. Looks like it might be pretty serious for Ja Morant. Don't know if he'll play in Game 2. We saw the Knicks go on the road and win. They tried to blow it, but we saw them beat the Cavs. We saw the 5th-seeded Clippers beat the Suns. That was a surprise to me. Clippers playing without Paul George go on the road, beat Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and Durant. You talk about pressure. We talked about the pressure on guys into these playoffs. To me, the Suns have a lot of pressure. Chris Paul has a lot of pressure. Devin Booker has a lot of pressure. DeAndre Ayton has a lot of pressure. And they did not live up to it. Coming up late last night, they did not live up to it. It was just a weird first round of the playoffs here. I can't wait for tonight's game between the Kings and the Warriors. I think that is a great series. I thought Sacramento showed tremendous poise to come back from 10 down in the third quarter and win that game. Malik Monk was awesome. De'Aaron Fox was awesome. Look, Herter played terrible for Sacramento. Sabonis shot terribly for Sacramento. So if those guys can play well, you would think the Kings have a better chance tonight at winning Game 2. Now, if Sabonis is going to play better and Herter's going to play better, Malik Monk's not going to get 30. That's just the way it's going to be, right? If those guys he stepped up because those guys didn't. If those guys step up, his numbers will take a back seat. But to know that you have 3 guys that are capable of getting 30 for you if you're Sacramento, that's a good team. That's a fun team. And they had a good win, very good win against the defending champs. We'll see what happens tonight in Game 2. Texter says, Kings take Game 1. That was great. Says, I'd rather have Harden in his prime than Trae Young. Trae is a number 2 and always has been, which makes the Luka trade look that much worse. Texter says, bad blood with Trae Young, Brady. Look at his career numbers. What are you talking about? A little. and I'm not afraid to admit it. Okay? Kevin Huerter went to my high school. That's why I like the Kings. Kevin Huerter was teammates with my brother. So I have a little bit of hometown pride in him. And the story is that Trae Young ran him out of town, forced him to get traded to Sacramento. And also, Trae Young ran their head coach, Nate McMillan, out of town. And I like Nate McMillan because he's Mr. Sonic, and I was a Sonics fan growing up. So, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Trae Young, but I'm also not a huge fan of the way that Trae Young plays, right? I watched a ton of Hawks games over the last couple of years because of Kevin Huerter. I saw Trae Young play as many games as I saw the Celtics play in the last 3 years practically. I'm just not a fan of the way he plays. Now, I understand he gets 10 assists a game, so I can't just say that he's a ball hawk. But in the NBA, with how easy it is to score now and how good offensive players are, it's now easy to get assists. 10 is still impressive. I'm not saying he never passes, but to see a guy pull up from 7 feet behind the line and do it consistently where the ball just stops, that was the knock on Carmelo. That was the knock on James Harden. And what have we said forever? That Carmelo and James Harden were not winning players. And they weren't winning players until they became supporting role guys. And you couldn't win with them as the face of your franchise. And that, to me, is who Trae Young is, except he's a smaller version of James Harden and a smaller version of Carmelo. So, yes, I do have, I guess, some bad blood with Trae Young for a guy that I don't know. I don't particularly like him, no, but I don't like the way he plays. And we've seen guys that play this way that are ball-dominant guys where the ball just stops. We've seen these guys and criticize these guys forever. Right? Ever since I got into this business, we've been criticizing guys that play just this way. And that's how Trae plays. And if he was a number 2 and was a willing number 2, then I'd feel a lot different about him. But he wants to be the face. He wants to be a max contract guy. He wants to be seen as a top 10 player in the league. And I don't think he is. Individually, as a scorer, he's very good. But I don't think he makes guys around him better. You look at that team, Clint Capella is an all-star caliber player as a big guy. And I know big guys are, not really with it anymore in the NBA. He's an all-star caliber player. Blocks shots, defends the paint, can score offensively. Bogdanovich is an excellent shooter. This team let Gallinari go, traded Huerter, got rid of a lot of shooting surrounding Trae Young. They made this team for him. And they went 41-41. Very, very average. And that's who he's going to continue to be. And that's why they're open to trading him. So, Mark, you can look at the numbers all you want. I'm telling you what my eyes tell me and what my history of watching basketball tells me. Right? Tracy McGrady, we said, wasn't a winning player. We said that Harden wasn't a winning player. We said Carmelo wasn't a winning player. That, to me, is who Trae Young is, but smaller, weaker, more likely to get hurt. Heck, a lot of people didn't think Allen Iverson was a winning player. And Iverson was tough as nails. And Iverson was incredible. Trae Young's not as good as Iverson. That's just how I feel. And my eyes tell me that I'm right on that. It's the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox lose today. Score was 5-4. We'll play you back the highlights, tell you how it happened, and tell you a couple takeaways on Brian Bayo. We'll do it next on DEV. The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
The world of newspapers, Shop Local, is in full swing. Shopping local is more than a good idea. It's good for the whole community. Each week, the World will feature one of these local businesses so you can get to know them better. In Barrie, Mattress Land, Tucker's Machines, Barrie Tile, Hutchins Roofing, Nelson Ace Hardware, and Richard J. Wabi Jeweler. In East Montpelier, Bragg Farm and Delaire's Carpet and Flooring, and in Montpelier, Agway Farm and Garden and Central Vermont Auto Mart. Support your local businesses. Shop local.
The weather is warming up, and you know what that means. Bike season. Hey, this is Caleb from Waterbury Sports. With the scarcity of the last few years mostly behind us, we have more Trek and Giant bikes in inventory than ever. Plus, many of them will be on sale through the month of April. So if you're looking for a kid's bike, hybrid, mountain, gravel, or e-bike, we have plenty to take out for a test ride. Our big selection of bike parts, accessories, and clothing are working their way onto the sales floor as seasons change. Waterbury Sports, your source for all things bike, downtown Waterbury, Vermont.
Get a super start on your garden with supplies from family-owned Guy's Farm and Yard stores. Coast of Maine and Fox Farm garden soils are in. New products are starting to show up. Seeds, seed starters, and peat pots. Find all the lime, fertilizers, and garden tools, too. Raise your own meat birds and layers and enjoy homegrown meat and eggs. Order today at Guy's Farm and Yard, Portland Street, Morrisville, Berry Street, Montpelier, Taft Corners, Williston, and Fairfax Road in St. Albans. That's guysfarmanyard.com.
The world of newspapers Shop Local is in full swing. Shopping local is more than a good idea. It's good for the whole community. Each week, the world will feature one of these local businesses so you can get to know them better. In Barrie, Mattress Land, Tucker's Machines, Barrie Tile, Hutchins Roofing, Nelson Ace Hardware, Jawabi Jeweler. In East Montpelier, Bragg Farm and Delaire's Carpet and Flooring, and in Montpelier, Agway Farm and Garden and Central Vermont Auto Mart. Support your local businesses. Shop local.
Vermont's largest career fair is back and bigger than ever. Hi, I'm Rachel Townsend, Workforce Director at Associated General Contractors of Vermont, inviting you to the Vermont Career Fair on Thursday, April 20th from 10 to 4 at Champlain Valley Exposition. Over 150 multi-industry employers ready to hire will be there. If you need a change of career, want to apply your talents to advance your career, or you're ready to get back in the job market, don't miss the Vermont Career Fair on April 20th. For more information and a list of participating employers, visit vermontcareerfair.com.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Texter wants to know when I'll talk about the Bruins. About 6:30. I told you, I promised you, playoff time. We'd be talking hockey. We will be. Bruins Panthers tonight at 7:30, so we'll get you ready for that about an hour beforehand, about 6:30. I need a little help from somebody. Peter in Williston usually is listening on the video stream. I need to know how the audio sounds on the video stream, because I just went and I got a complaint that the audio wasn't working. I went and listened to commercial. It was working, but that's only commercial, right? I don't know how I sound. So if someone can tell me how I sound on Facebook Live on WDEV, I would much appreciate that. Thank you for anyone who's willing to help. Multiple people say Brady didn't know about the Kevin Herter connection. That's pretty fun. Another texter says that's a cool anecdote. Yeah, Kevin Herter went to my high school. Played at my high school. Younger than me, obviously. My brother is 6 years younger than me. Kevin is a year under him, I believe, maybe 2 years younger than him. My brother was a 10th grader on JV. Kevin was an 8th grader on JV. Yeah, that's right. My brother then varsity 2 years. Kevin was on varsity as a freshman, as a sophomore. My brother and him started together for multiple seasons on the varsity team there. They used to live down the street from us, actually. So I think I've driven Kevin Herter to practices in my car. So, yeah, I'm invested in what Kevin Herter does. I was invested in the Atlanta Hawks and therefore invested, in what Trae Young was doing and wasn't doing enough. Texter says the audio sounds good on Facebook Live. Thank you very much. That is my guy, Peter, always down to listen there. So much appreciated. All right, Red Sox lose today. Final score of this one was 5-4. All in all, it's a very good series for the Red Sox. Sox, with the loss now, are 8-9 on the season. But again, they took 3 of 4 from the Angels. I can't be too mad about it. And this was a weird game in general, right? We're playing this game. We got about an hour rain delay to start. Rain's coming down. It's slippery. It's wet. It's raw. It's cold. Then we play 3 innings or 2 1/3 innings. And then we come back out. We have another rain delay for about an hour. So just a weird game in general. It was a winnable game for the Red Sox. They could have won this game, but ultimately didn't. Brian Bayo started it. His first start back did not go well. 2 2/3, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. The big blow in this one was the Hunter Renfroe 3-run homer in the top of the first.
Pitch is swung, and there's a high fly to left field, deep, back by the wall, and it is gone. 3-run homer, Hunter Renfroe, just like that. The Angels have the early lead. Of course, they led 4-0 Saturday with first-inning grand slam by Urshela. The Red Sox came back to win, but they didn't have Ohtani pitching on Saturday. That was a high Fenway fly, made the second row of the monster seats.
Yep, so it was 3-0 there. The Angels got a 4-0 lead in the first inning. Sox got one back off of Ohtani in the bottom of the first. Then that made it 4-1. Angels had a 5-1 lead. And then the Sox started to come back a little bit. Rob Refsnyder scored here on a Kike Hernandez sac fly.
He's got second and third with one down. See if they can get him home here. The pitch to Kike, swinging a high fly into right field. Drifting over Phillips from center, and he's there to make the play. Tagging at third is Refsnyder. He scores Casas to third. It's a sacrifice fly, and it's 5-2.
Yeah, so that made it 5-2. That was in the bottom of the sixth. Red Sox got one more back to make it 5-3 in that inning. That came here. Well, let me see here. Reese McGuire had the single here. This was an infield hit.
Throughout this day, and many, many others, a race that started some 7 hours ago. The 1-1 is softly grounded on the first base side, hooking toward the line. McGuire down the line, loop gloves, tags, he dropped the ball, and Casas will score.
So that made it 5-3, and then things got interesting in the bottom of the ninth. Red Sox had a couple people on. Rafi Devers had an RBI single. This made it 5-4.
Rafi getting set in the box. Runners lead at first and second. Shortstop pinched near the bag. The pitch. Swing a line drive, base hit into right field. Hit very hard. Here comes Tapia to score. And the throw goes to third. That is Verdugo to score. Tapia stopping at second, and it's 5-4. Too hard, far too hard for Tapia to try to go to third base. And
yeah, Red Sox had a chance continuing on in that inning. Refsnyder was retired. Yoshida popped up in the infield. That's how the game ended. I wanted really bad for Yoshida to get a game-winning knock there. He's under 200 now. And look, I told you that this could happen. I just feel bad for the guy. I mean, look at what Masataka Yoshida is going through. I understand we are not by nature inclined to have patience. I know not everybody has empathy and compassion. I do. I just want to see the guy have success now. Look at what Yoshida is going through. Masataka Yoshida has moved over to the entire different side of the world. So just from a personal standpoint, you are in a different place. You are in a foreign land. You are dealing with different culture. You are dealing with different food. You are dealing with a different language. That's incredibly difficult to overcome. Now you're playing baseball in a way that you've never played before against people you've never seen, people you've never heard of. You also missed more than half of spring training because of the World Baseball Classic, and that was your decision, and I support it. But that's tough to overcome. And now you're traveling in a way you've never traveled. You're playing in weather you've never played, and everything in Japan is in a dome. This is hard. And yes, he's hitting under 200, and some of the at-bats haven't been competitive. He's also dealing with a hamstring injury that cost him 4 games. I get it, and I believe by the end of the year he will have been a good player, but I just wanted him to get that game-winning knock there because that would have been huge for his confidence. It would have been absolutely huge for his confidence. It didn't happen that way. Red Sox do take 3 of 4. It is a successful weekend. Coming off getting swept by Tampa to take 3 of 4 and rebound. That was big, right? On Friday night, you capitalized on the Angels' mistakes. On Saturday, you showed the resolve and you were able to come back from the 4 runs down. Yesterday, you come out and you win a pitcher's duel. Good weekend that showed a lot of traits of the Red Sox. This one, they could have won. They just didn't, and now they'll welcome in the Minnesota Twins, who are a very good team here in the early going of this season. A couple of things that need to be pointed out here. Cutter Crawford gets a major brownie point here for the Red Sox. He went 6 1/3 in relief of Bayo after the rain delay. 6 1/3, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. He gave you a chance to be in the game. That was huge. gave you a chance to win. That was huge. And he saved your bullpen massively. You have to pull your starter in the third inning because he's not really effective, and you have the rain delay. You could have had to chew through 5-6 pitchers to get through the rest of that game. You only had to go through one. Cutter Crawford gets a gold star for the day. As for Bello, disappointing. I think he'll be much better. Needs to throw more changeups, needs to get the fastball to move a little more down. The sinker wasn't really sinking. It just kind of moved in, and it became very, very hittable. He will be better as we go. Brady Farkas Show brought to you by Fecto Homes. UVM men's basketball gets a couple of transfers recently. We'll take you through what we know, and Aaron Deloney is going to stop by too. Brady Farkas Show is on AM 550, WDEV in Waterbury, also 96.1 FM, 98.3 in Montpelier, 101.9 in Island Pond.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. Still no arrests in Alabama, where at least 4 people died at a Sweet 16 party this weekend. CBS's Omar Villafranca is there.
Among the dead, Phil Dowdell. A star athlete, Dowdell was just weeks from graduation and recently committed to play football at Jacksonville State next year.
I was sitting right beside him.
Daquan Doss says he was with Dowdell at the party, but the two ran in opposite directions when gunshots rang out.
I wish I could have pulled him out.
Also killed 23-year-old Corbin Holston, 19-year-old Marcia Collins, and 17-year-old Shankivia Nicole Smith.
28 others were injured. In Kansas City, a 16-year-old is fighting for his life after getting shot for ringing the wrong doorbell. His family says he was trying to pick up his siblings a block away when the homeowner shot him. A GoFundMe for the teen has raised more than $1.8 million. 8 police officers will dodge charges over the shooting death of a black driver in Ohio. Here's CBS's Steve Futterman.
25-year-old Jayland Walker was killed after refusing to pull his car over. He led police on a chase, during which authorities say he fired at least one shot. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost.
The law allows officers to use deadly force to defend themselves.
A handgun was found inside his car.
More thunderstorms in South Florida caused a ground stop at the airport in Fort Lauderdale today for a few hours. The area is still struggling to dry out from record rains and historic flooding last week. The Justice Department says 2 men have been arrested for operating a secret police station in New York City. U.S. Attorney Breon Peace says they were members of China's Ministry of Public Security and were harassing local political opponents.
The MPS has repeatedly and flagrantly violated our nation's sovereignty, including by opening and operating a police station in the middle of New York City.
A controversial Republican congressman says he's running for his seat again.
Congressman George Santos told a New York Post photographer this on a D.C. street.
It's a beautiful day here in Washington, D.C. It's a great day to be an American. It's a great day to be a Republican, and it's a great day to announce re-election.
He also announced on Twitter, writing, "As a first-generation American, I am no stranger to the issues affecting my district."
That's CBS's Matt Piper reporting. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell and Pennsylvania Democrat John Fetterman are back at work today at the U.S. Capitol. McConnell was out getting treatment for a concussion after a bad fall last month.
You're recognized. It's good to be back.
Fetterman was in the hospital for clinical depression. It comes nearly a year after his stroke. This is CBS News.
Streamline how you hire with Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in the same place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
As a roofer, I'm all. When you want your paving project done right, go with Green Mountain Paving in East Barry. This father-son duo has over 80 years of combined experience specializing in driveways, parking lots, and roads. Improve the curb appeal of your home or business with the clean look of asphalt from Green Mountain Paving. The summer schedule is filling up quickly. Contact Green Mountain Paving today. Green Mountain Paving, celebrating 50 years, online at greenmountainpavingvt.com.
Marvin windows are designed for unprecedented performance and exceptional aesthetics. Marvin's expansive window portfolio has every style you can imagine, all of them crafted with the highest quality material and the ability to mix and match across product lines that allows you to achieve the right form and function for your residential, commercial, and replacement needs. See our Marvin specialist at Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber in Middlesex, St. Albans, Enosburg, Swanton, and Derby, or online at sticksandstuff.com.
Vermont's largest career fair is back and bigger than ever. Hi, I'm Rachel Townsend, Workforce Director at Associated General Contractors of Vermont, inviting you to the Vermont Career Fair on Thursday, April 20th from 10 to 4 at Champlain Valley Exposition. Over 150 multi-industry employers ready to hire will be there. If you need a change of career, want to apply your talents to advance your career, or you're ready to get back in the job market, don't miss the Vermont Career Fair on April 20th. For more information and a list of participating employers, visit vermontcareerfair.com.
Hi, I'm Albert at Waterbury Service Center on Main Street. Every year, I find that the quicker you resolve a problem on your vehicle, it's easier to fix and less expensive. Leaking shocks and struts? Don't wait until the spring breaks to fix them. Leaking oil? A seal is so much easier to repair than a blown engine, transmission, or rear differential. Replacing ripped wiper blade before it scratches the windshield. You get the picture. Bring your vehicle in now and be ready for the summer. We're Waterbury Service Center on Main Street. Call us 244-7202.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, brought to you by Fecto Homes up until 7 o'clock. Then Jazz with George Thomas tonight. Look forward to having that on the air for a full 2 hours, 7 until 9. Then Eye on the World with John Batchelor. Aaron Deloney, the UVM men's basketball standout, is going to be with us here in about 5 minutes. Just announced his intention to return to Catamount Country. So we'll find out what went into that decision. Pulled himself out of the transfer portal. We'll get you ready for the Bruins and Panthers tonight as well. We'll do that at about 6:30. Obviously, no Red Sox game tonight. Those of you just joining us, we remind you, Red Sox just played, finished up losing to the Angels 5-4. So the Catamount basketball team getting some good offseason news, starting the process of refilling their roster, right? We talked about all the guys that are leaving Catamount Country. Finn Sullivan graduating, Dylan Penn graduating, Robin Duncan graduating, Cam Gibson graduating. 4 players leaving the graduation. George Ochoa, Perry Smith Jr. leaving to the transfer portal. That's 6 players that UVM had to replace. Deloney comes back, so you don't have to replace him. And now UVM has at least 3 commitments of their own in the transfer portal. So they have not filled all their scholarships yet. I believe there are 2 left, but UVM has gotten back Deloney and now has 3 players in the transfer portal that they have picked up. And I'll admit it, I don't know a ton about these guys. I've watched a little bit of film on some of them. I've read a lot of the commentary on guys, and I've looked at the box score numbers. I have not done a deep dive, so I'm more passing on information than I am giving you concrete facts here about, at least a concrete opinion on what I see. The guy I do know a little bit about is TJ Long. We had talked about him a couple of weeks ago. He was the first guy UVM got in the transfer portal. So he comes by way of Fairfield. He was a sophomore this past year. He was the 6th man of the year in the MAC conference, not the MAC, the MAAC, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. He's 6'4", left-handed, 10.5 points a game, 3 rebounds, 6th man of the year. I like that move. Right? I've watched the most film on Long. 6th man of the year in a better league than the America East. Right there. If he can be 6th man of the year as an underclassman in a better league than the America East, then I have to assume as an upperclassman in a worse league, he can perform better. Right? That would be a fair assumption. 6'4", he brings you some size. Still, he plays as a guard. He's not an interior player. So he's a guard with size. Can shoot it from 3 a little bit. Wasn't great. I think right around 30% or a little under. So not a great 3-point shooter. But a guy that with his size and with his thickness, and I don't mean fat, he's built, He's not wiry. He's not built like Deloney. He can get to the bucket. He can absorb some contact. And he can be a guy who can play on the perimeter, but can get downhill and get going to the hoop. So I like the addition of TJ Long. 10.5 points a game in the MAC as a reserve player leads me to believe he might be a guy who can be 12 to 14 in the America East as a starter. I think that would be fair expectation. That would be fair output. And if that output gets hit, that will be a win for UVM. So that's guy number one. Guy number two is Brenton Mills. Brenton Mills spent the last 2 years at Bowling Green, but he played in the America East before that, and he was an all-conference player at Binghamton, and he averaged 14 points a game in 2020 and 2021. I have not watched any film on him. I will tell you I'm generally leery of guys who have transferred more than once. That's something that I was told a while ago. Just be leery of guys who transfer more than once. I'm not passing judgment. I don't know anything about Brenton Mills. I believe he was a 2-time all-academic guy, so certainly seems like a good guy you'd want to have in your program. He did not do much at Bowling Green, but he also has played in this league. He has averaged double figures in this league. He was at Binghamton scoring 14 a game, being third-team all-conference before Binghamton got good. Binghamton's pretty good right now under their new head coach, whose name all of a sudden escapes me. But if he was getting 14 when the program was in disrepair, I'd have to think in a program that's with it, he could be a guy who now is an upperclassman, as a fifth-year guy, could be a guy who could succeed. I'm starting to think about guys who UVM has to replace, right? You got to replace Dylan Penn. It's a guy who's probably 14 a game. Can TJ Long be that guy? Maybe. You got to replace Finn Sullivan. Do they have a guy that can replace Finn and be 14 a game, player of the year caliber? I don't know that they have that yet. Robin Duncan, a guy who was going to get you 6 points a game. Do they have that? Probably. Now, all the other things Robin brought, that's hard to replace. But point production-wise, I think they got a chance. Cam Gibson, a guy between 4 and 10 points a game. Can Brenton Mills, who I just outlined, can he be that guy? Can he be Cam Gibson? Yeah, maybe he can. Right? If he got 14 a game at Binghamton 3 years ago, why couldn't he get 8 a game for UVM? I think it's very, very possible. The third guy is a guy from San Diego by the name of Jace Rocamore. He started all 30 games at San Diego this past year, averaged 6.5 points a game, 3 rebounds. Don't know a lot about him. I find it interesting. Another San Diego guy coming to town. Maybe Finn Sullivan had something to do with that. That's where he came from. And look, you look at it and say, oh, Rocamore only averaged 5 points a game at San Diego, or 6 points a game. I think Finn Sullivan only averaged 5 the year before he got to UVM at San Diego. So clearly they were able to unlock something in Finn Sullivan. Maybe they can do the same thing in Rocamore. He started 30 games this year. He's played a lot of minutes. That to me is excellent. If you can go 30 starts in the Big West, I got to think you're a starter here at UVM. And you're a guy who can play well there too. I saw San Diego fans online saying that Rocamore really came on offensively at the end of the year. That's good to know as well. I will do more of my research on these guys, watch more film, tell you exactly what I see, but that's kind of some surface level stuff. 3 players from the transfer portal, Deloney back. You're going to have the red-shirted guys from last year. Jackson Skipper's a guy we've heard a lot about that they're high on. Veretto coming back. And we'll see what happens with the other 2 scholarships they have to fill. But if you're looking for off-season UVM hoops content, that's a pretty good news right there. It was great news last week when we heard that Aaron Deloney was coming back. Aaron Deloney, the 2-time America East 6th Man of the Year, guy who averaged double-digit points this season, guy who can light it up from deep in a way that nobody on this roster can. TJ Hurley will get there, but Deloney is the guy who can cook it up better than anybody. He is coming back to UVM for his 5th year. He explored the transfer portal, elects to come back to Burlington, and Aaron is with us on the phone line now. Aaron, thank you for being with us here on a Monday. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate you being with us. I read your comments to the Burlington Free Press last week about coming back to town here for the 5th year, but let's kind of go through the process again for my listeners here. You go into the transfer portal, you pull yourself out. Kind of take me through the last 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, it's been a hectic last 3 weeks, if I could describe it in a word. But I kind of entered the portal. Like I said, a lot of people didn't know due to some family stuff. I don't think people know how hard it is being 3,000 miles away from home for 4 years straight, and barely getting to see your family, your grandmas, grandpas, brothers, and all that. Some things happened, and I felt like I needed to be there for my last year. Had, the offers out there, but just wasn't really the case when talking to my family about it. So rather than, not taking my extra year because of the COVID or going somewhere that wasn't home, I knew I had a home here, and I wanted to finish out with the guys that kind of took a chance on me and, the system that I grew up in.
Well, I hope everything is okay with the family eventually. We don't have to get into what's going on, but that it was all family driven. It was nothing about wanting to play at a higher level, wanting to go deeper into the tournament, wanting a different role. It had nothing to do with that.
Not at all, man. I'm a loyal guy. If you look at, my resume, high school, I never transferred. My AAU squad, I played with one my whole career, and it was never about that. It was kind of being closer and being able to, be with them. But
I'm sure every transfer portal case is different. I'm sure sometimes guys will enter the portal and their original school will say, hey, if you enter the portal, you're not coming back. Exactly. I figured all along that was not going to be the case with you. You make different rules for guys that have been in the program for 4 years. What was kind of the conversation throughout the process with the coaching staff here at UVM as far as the door being open for you to come back?
Yeah, when I initially had my meeting with Coach Becker, I kind of talked about the situation and why I was doing it, and he totally understood. He was sad about it. I was sad about it, even having the conversation. And he explained, usually when guys enter, for most people, I feel like they enter because it's basketball stuff, and for me, that wasn't the case. So he understood and was like, well, if anything happens, we'd love to have you if we still have our scholarships intact. Same with all the rest of the coaches, Coach Nye and the rest of the assistants. And when I entered and I was home, I was in the portal. Other schools were hitting me up. They were still recruiting me in a way, trying to get me back, just in case that something had happened like it did. So.
What was it like to go through the recruiting process again? Something you haven't done in 4 years. I got to imagine it's nice for the ego to have all these people hitting you up and wanting you. I got to imagine that feels good.
No, definitely. It was hectic. It felt like my end of my senior year of high school all over again. And it honestly got tiring towards the end, just hearing from so many schools kind of saying the same stuff over and over and saying all the cliches and hearing all the cliches. But it was definitely fun. Hearing from schools that I didn't even think that I would hear from, but it was a really fun process, and I'm glad I ended up here and made the best decision.
UVM men's basketball star Aaron Deloney coming back for his 5th year next year in Catamount Country. Cats are coming off a trip to the NCAA tournament where they lost against Marquette. What do you make of just this transfer portal era in general of basketball? I mean, look, UVM has benefited from the transfer portal in the last couple of years, but we're talking about a situation where UVM has to replace more than half of its roster almost every year. And, some schools got to replace their entire roster, essentially. What do you make of just this era of kind of you said, hecticness?
Yeah, I think it's crazy for sure. There was 2,000 kids in the portal. Like you said, some rosters are having to replace. I actually went on a visit, and one of the schools had only three players from their previous team on the visit. So, it's definitely different. It's a different time, but I like it in a way. If kids feel the need that they need something different, something new, need to be in a new situation, it's a great opportunity for them. Especially with the new rules about not having to sit out if it's your first time and stuff like that. So I have mixed feelings about it. I think other people do too, but I think it's really dope to have for kids in play now.
We just, before you came on, were detailing some of the transfers that UVM has gotten commitments from already. Kid from Fairfield, kid from Bowling Green, another kid from San Diego. Kind of take me through the timeline. When do you get to meet the new guys on the team? When do things ramp up in the summer as far as trying to build that chemistry? Because it's going to have to happen quick.
Yeah, for sure. Every time, we get a lot of transfers kind of similar to the year before last when Finn, Cam, all those guys came over. We tried to start early as possible. I think that's why we were so successful that year, getting the new guys acclimated so quickly in the summer and really hammering our principles right away so those guys could get really acclimated into our system. But the names you just named, those guys are really good. You know, I watched some stuff on them, got to meet one of them when they came on their visit. But hopefully, yeah, they can really figure our stuff out and be a big part of our team this year.
It's well documented by a lot of people, including yourself, what a good leader Robin Duncan was last year. Obviously, he's going to be gone going into next year, and this team, Coach Becker said, is your team. So how do you take that next step on the leadership ladder, something I'm sure you've been building towards?
Yeah, for sure. I think just learning from the guys I had before me, like you mentioned, Robin Duncan. When I was a freshman, Anthony Lamb and Everett Duncan, you know, were the leaders. Ben Shungu, Ryan Davis. I think I've had really good examples, you know, in the past, and I've kind of been in the leadership role, you know, before. So this isn't going to be my first go. It's going to be tough, but you know, that's what Becker was happy about me coming back for, to step in and really have that leadership role and be an example for the new guys and younger guys moving forward.
Let's kind of put a bow on your season. We spoke right before the NCAA tournament game against Marquette, a game that didn't go your way, and a game, frankly, that wasn't as close as we've seen some other UVM games in the tournament go. What happened on that Friday afternoon? What did Marquette do so well to kind of cipher you guys?
You know, I think we played it close for a really long time. They had that run in the second half where one of their guys went for 18 straight, which was kind of tough. But you know, I think we had a really good game plan around them. You know, we kind of did exactly what we wanted to do. But their offense, you know, it speaks for itself. There was something in the country. I don't remember the stat, but offensively we're just a really good team. They really knew how to move the ball. They knew how to get their guys the ball and kind of play off them. But yeah, just like you said, it just wasn't our night as a team. And I think we shot the ball great in the first half. In the second half, we went like 1 for 10 from the 3-point line in the first 10, 12 minutes. So obviously we're not shooting it well. It's going to be tough to beat a team like that. In those type of big games, you got to make threes. And if they weren't going down, it was going to be hard for us to stay in that game.
You know, I don't have the exact numbers off the top of my head. It's interesting. You point to the second half run. I point to the end of the first half as kind of the key, because I think you guys had a chance to maybe be down 4 at the break, but it ends up being down almost 10 at the break. Was that foul call on you in transition the worst foul call in the history of basketball?
The worst call I've ever seen, the worst call I've ever been a part of. It was nuts. I touched him maybe, but that shouldn't have been called. But I think that honestly kind of sparked everything. We had a run going, and that happened, and all hell broke loose.
You know, I've talked about this. You know, I want to see UVM get as high as a 12 seed and be the popular 12-5 upset pick, but it is possible to pull upsets from where you guys have been the last couple of years. You know, we saw Furman win this year, Fairleigh Dickinson win as a 16 seed. What has to happen for that to be you guys? Is it just luck of the draw? Is it all matchup based? Is it, what has to happen for that to be you guys? Because you're clearly capable of it.
Yeah, I think we, this year and last year, we both went into that game thinking, we could really win this game. And I think that's the mindset we have to continue to have. Keep sticking to the game plan. Like you said, the luck of the draw, depending on who we get. But at the same time, just going into that game confident and hoping that maybe the other team will have an off night and we have a great night, kind of just all depends on that. When we see these not FAU, but Furman.
FDU,
yeah. I kind of get those wins. It's all right, well, the other team didn't play great, So if we luckily have a not so great night from the other team, I think we could really do something here.
Take yourselves out of this, because I know what you would say, if UVM is a part of this. But just as a fan of basketball, how do you like your NCAA tournament? Do you like it where it's Duke, UNC, Kansas, Kentucky, the Blue Bloods, or do you like it all crazy like it was this year where we got 13 seeds in the Sweet 16, St. Peter's last year into the Elite Eight? How do you like your tournament?
I definitely like it like that, where it's just random. You don't really know what's going to happen. When you always see the Duke, the UNC over and over, it's kind of all right, this is what we're going with. It's always a fun game. Congrats to them. But when you see teams that you're not expecting to be there, it's such like a different, like you're tuned in way more, I feel like, and it's such a different atmosphere and viewing type of party. But I think the transfer portal, like you mentioned, has a lot to do with that, and how these teams get those type of players from other places and kind of get to the tournament and make a run. So
I know everyone's supporting everyone. I heard that throughout the whole season, but is there a friendly rivalry going on right now between the UVM men and the UVM women?
Oh, no, not at all. It's all love between us. All love. Hopefully we get to do the same thing again that we did this year collectively as a team. So
hey, I'll get you out of here on this. You're a fan of basketball. We started talking the show out about the Celtics and Hawks. Game 1 was on Saturday. Celtics won that game by 13. Any big takeaways from the NBA playoff weekend? You've been watching any games this weekend?
I have. I thought, I honestly thought Memphis was going to sweep the Lakers, but Ja got hurt, obviously. And the Lakers just played great. Hachimura had about 30. Austin Reeves went crazy. I think that series and the Clippers series will be a good one to watch with KD over there in Phoenix. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I think a lot of teams got chances this year, and this might be a year where seeding doesn't really matter as much.
Especially in the West. Do you like my De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Penn comparison? I always said that Dylan Penn reminded me of De'Aaron Fox.
Me and Dill were actually talking about that, and he was like, that's not the first time he heard it. He was like, people have been saying that for a minute. Speedy lefty, nice little floater game, can get to the rack for sure.
Although De'Aaron had 5 threes, I think, the other day. He had it was reminiscent of Dylan Penn in the AE's tournament there, something you weren't necessarily expecting.
He'll start shooting that thing towards the end of the season for sure.
Well, I'm all in on Kings Warriors, so I'm in on that series. That's the one I'm most looking forward to watching the rest of here. Game 2 of that one is tonight. Celtics game 2 tomorrow. Aaron Deloney, UVM men's basketball star. We're happy he's back for a 5th year. AD, I'm sure we'll be doing this many more times over the next several months, and we look forward to it.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Brady.
Absolutely. Aaron Deloney, always welcome here on the Brady Farkas Show, and welcome back here in Catamount Country. Texter says, happy Aaron Deloney returned. I am happy as well. I did not know that he was going through something with his family. Certainly not my place to press on what that was. I hope that everything is okay, but that was his reason for entering the transfer portal. And, we had no knowledge of that. I said all along, there's a handful of reasons why someone enters the portal. They want to play at a higher level. They want to challenge themselves. They want to be at a spot where it's easier to get into the tournament, and therefore it's easier to get a better seed and it's easier to win in the tournament. Or you want to be closer to home, and being closer to home can take on a lot of different reasons, right? You could want to be closer to home so that your family and friends could see you play. You could want to be closer to home because you've got something going on. There's a lot of different reasons somebody would want to be close to home. And Aaron Deloney said, look, man, it's not easy to be 3,000 miles away from home for 4 consecutive years. And that's certainly not something that I can relate to. I mean, look, my family is 3 hours away. And at times that feels too far. You feel like you're not there to make a difference. And he's talking about being 3,000 miles. So Aaron Deloney is from Portland, Oregon. And given the nature of what the schedule is like for these athletes, I don't know realistically how often he gets to go home, right? You have the school year. Like, you're not taking, like, the weekend breaks that a school gets, you're not taking those and going to Portland, Oregon. You're not. So every weekend break, you're staying here. You're going to someone else's place that's closer that can take advantage of that. Or that's it. So I don't know how many times Aaron Deloney's gone home in the last 4 or 5 years, because you get a school vacation, you're on campus a lot of time. Winter break, you're playing hoop. You're not going home for Christmas break like everybody else is. Summer break, these guys got summer school. These guys got summer conditioning. These guys, I think there's like maybe a month in the summer where these guys can really go home. It is hard. And I applaud him for going into the portal for those reasons, for wanting to be around his family, for wanting to be closer. I read the place that intrigued him most was Wyoming. Wyoming's not a significantly better program than UVM. Bigger conference, not significantly better. So it wasn't about bigger level. It wasn't about the vanity of saying you played somewhere bigger. It wasn't about trying to get deeper into the tournament. It wasn't about a role that allowed you a chance to get to the pros. was about being there for family. And look, I wouldn't have looked down upon Aaron Deloney for any reason. If he wanted to leave for any reason, I would have supported him. But I really have his back when you find out it's for family reasons. And that's why he did all this. And he examined it. And he ended up coming back here. And he said, look, if I wasn't going to get right to home, I want to be where I have a home. And that is UVM. Text says, what a great dude. What a great dude. Well, I certainly think so as well. And a good representative of the program and someone I know we'll have on a lot more next year for sure. And this team will once again be exciting to watch. I was going to take a break. Let's kind of finish up my thoughts on the interview real quick. Always good stuff with AD. I encourage you to go find that foul that was called on him on Twitter against Marquette. It really might be the worst call in basketball history. And I really do think it helped change the game. If you remember, like UVM got blown out in the second half, but UVM was coming back. And I think they were down 6. And they have the ball. There's maybe 30 seconds left in the half. And I think Deloney has the ball at center court. Or maybe it was Robin Duncan, but UVM has the ball at center court. They're going to go for the last shot. They're going to get down 3 or 4, go into the break with momentum. Instead, the ball gets stolen. Deloney goes in transition on defense, doesn't even touch the guy and gets called for a foul. It really might be the worst call in the history of basketball. I encourage you to go and find that. And how about AD dropping some playoff knowledge on us there? You know, watching some hoop games, analyzing the NBA. I know those guys, I'm sure, are watching it. Glad that he's going to be back in Burlington. I had a great day in Burlington yesterday, too. I actually took advantage of the day for myself, right? Monday through Saturday for me is generally work in some capacity, right? Monday through Friday is here. Saturday I was at the Leap Energy Fair. I was there, for a bunch of hours all day. I did some stuff on the side that I'm working on. So Saturday I worked all day. Yesterday I took the day for me. I went to downtown Burlington. Beautiful day. Walked the bike path for a bit, went out on Church Street, ate lunch, watched the Red Sox game at a restaurant bar. It was absolutely awesome. And great day for me, and great to know that AD will be back in Burlington next year. We've got some updates on Patrice Bergeron's status tonight as the Bruins get ready for the Florida Panthers in about 1 hour. What do we know? What are some of the keys to the series? We'll talk about the Bees. That's right, me, talking hockey. You all asked for it for the last 6 months. Well, here you go. Brady's talking Bruins. Coming up next on the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes on DEV.
Looking to work for a company that has a positive, fun work environment? One that values you as a team member, where you can learn from the pros? Then come to work for the Radio Vermont Group. We're looking for someone to join our team on an entry-level position as a sales assistant. We're a family-owned and operated radio group with a history of serving our local communities. We offer a competitive base salary with opportunities to grow personally and financially. Are you an organized, detail-oriented person with exceptional writing and verbal skills? Do you have a positive attitude that's ready to take on new challenges every day? Our team is looking forward to working with you. If this sounds like you, apply now at scormier@radiovermont.com. To learn more, go to WDEVradio.com.
The Radio Vermont Group is an equal opportunity employer. All applicants will be considered for employment without attention to race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, or gender identity.
It's a celebration to benefit women's health. Mark your calendar for Copley Hospital's second annual Stowe Art Wine and Food fundraiser scheduled for June 1st. The evening gala includes a wine tasting, live and silent auctions featuring local artists and the best in domestic and international wines, getaways, Vermont gift baskets, private wine and cheese tastings, and more, all while enjoying hearty appetizers and desserts from Susanna's Catering. And our famous wine pull is back. Proceeds from this year's event will help Copley automate mammography and imaging services. To purchase your tickets for the Stowe Art Wine and Food fundraiser for Copley Hospital, visit copleyvt.org or call 802-888-8302. Thank you to lead sponsor Union Bank and the many local businesses and individuals for their sponsorships and donation of products and services to support this incredible event. We hope to see you there.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured, so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Gillies Sales and Service in East Montpelier sells new boats and outboard motors, along with pre-owned ATVs. More importantly, they have a top-notch service department and large parts inventory for boats, ATVs, and even motorcycles. Gillies Sales and Service is currently changing over their showroom to highlight the new spring inventory and selection of boats, including a complete line of Bennington pontoon boats, Crestliner fish boats, and a full line of Mercury outboards for the summer season. Also in stock are trailers and all the accessories and tubes and skis and such you need to get things running right. If your boat needs service before the summer season, now is the time to get it scheduled so you're ready to go with the warmer weather and waters. For ATVs or four-wheelers, there's a variety of pre-owned options available to check out. Gillies Sales and Service is stocked up for the boating and ATV season ahead and is ready to help you with all your service needs. Gillies Sales and Service on Route 14 in East Montpelier. Service is their specialty.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Just saw, I have not read the story yet, but the breaking news is that Yellowstone, the TV show, that one with Kevin Costner that's on Paramount, ending after season 5, which is the season we're currently in. That's breaking news. That's tough. That's like one of the few new TV shows that I've actually gotten into here. Like, I am the sitcom king, right? For a bunch of different reasons. Sitcoms take a half an hour. They don't require a whole lot of thought. Like, if I watch movies or things with complicated plots, I'm like, what's going on? Who is that guy? Oh, that's the guy from the beginning. Well, I thought that guy was good. Oh, that guy was bad. Although they double-crossed that guy. High-level TV shows and movies are often too much for me to follow. Sitcoms are my speed, and I will watch the same sitcoms over and over again. I've seen every episode of Seinfeld 9,000 times, every episode of Friends 9,000 times, Big Bang Theory 9,000 times. Like, I like sitcoms, and I like sitcoms that are now older and done at this point. I'm not getting into many new things because my life is so consumed with watching sports. I don't have time to invest in new television shows. Yellowstone was one of the ones that I actually invested in. And it's a high-level show that confuses the hell out of me. So I doubly, invested my time in this, and now it's going to end. I haven't read the story yet, but I don't know if it's going to be because Kevin Costner doesn't want to do it. That was the rumor, that he's got too much of a schedule. His wife doesn't want him to be so busy. He's got other projects. I don't know. But nonetheless, Yellowstone apparently ending after this season 5. So disappointing because, again, I had made so much room for it in my life. Tonight, less than an hour from now, 7:30, Bruins Panthers, Eastern Conference playoffs, game number 1. Here's what we know on Patrice Bergeron. There is an illness going around the Bruins locker room. Emily Kaplan of ESPN put out a little while ago. Patrice Bergeron, still a game time decision. We do not know, as of right now, if Patrice Bergeron will play, and the game is 43 minutes from now. That's a huge thing. If your top line center, your award-winning center is not going to play, that's a huge thing. Doesn't mean the Bruins can't win without Bergeron. They are good enough. They are deep enough. They set the points record, the wins record. They could win a game without Bergeron. But having him would be far more advantageous than not. We saw in the NBA what happened. John Morant hurt, Grizzlies lose. Giannis hurt earlier, Bucks lose. One player doesn't dictate things in hockey like it does in basketball. But if Bergeron's not there, that's a significant loss. So that is a storyline that we are still watching here. As for the matchup, the Bruins clearly have the pedigree and have the resume for us to say that they're going to roll over Florida. I don't think they're going to roll. I think they're going to win this series, but this series is far more even than we'd like it to be for a first-round opponent when you've had a record-breaking season. I mean, look, the Bruins were 2-1-3 against Florida this season. They were not 6-0 straight up. They were 2-1-3. So they did not dominate this series from a record standpoint. They weren't clearing away better and dominant in every game that they played. In the head-to-head series, the Bruins only beat the Panthers 17-15 by goal margin. Right? They played 6 games. The Bruins only outscored Florida by 2. It wasn't like they outscored Florida by 8 or outscored Florida by 10. They weren't winning all these games 5-1. Hey, these were close nip-tuck games that are 17-15 was the final score for the season. Bruins power play wasn't great against Florida. It was less than 25%, 4 of 17. Florida wasn't great. They were only 3 of 15. That's 20%. So it wasn't great, but they didn't have an elite special teams unit, at least offensively, against Florida. It's going to be a more even matchup that we'd want. I mean, for a Florida team that we didn't even know the Bruins were playing until the end of the season, until the last day of the regular season, this is a team that, you would like to say the Bruins can handle easily. It's not going to be easy. Do they win it in 6? That's what I would say. They win it in 6. Like, I think the Celtics are going to dominate Atlanta, gentlemen sweep that series in 5. I don't think it's going to be that way for the Bees. I think they're going to win it in 6. And is that atypical in hockey? No. We see closer series in hockey than we do in basketball in round 1. We see far more upsets in hockey than we do in basketball in round 1. So winning in 6 is not a huge affront to who the Bruins are, but I would have liked to see, I'd like to see the Bruins in a place where I could confidently say that they are going to win it in 5. Kind of for what you need to know about Florida, Matthew Tkachuk is the guy who kind of makes their offense go. We had 109 points on the season. They've got a couple of different goaltenders that they'll run through here. Sergei Bobrovsky is the guy that we know the best. They really did split almost evenly in the regular season, Kemper and Bobrovsky, but Bobrovsky's a guy with the name that we know. We went 24-20-3, had a slightly worse save percentage this year. If Bergeron doesn't play, Pavel Zacha is the guy who's going to center Marchand and DeBrusk. He was centering them at practice yesterday. He had a career year offensively, had 57 points, was an offensive force, but still not Patrice Bergeron. We've talked a lot about the idea of pressure on the Bruins. And of course there's pressure, right? You're an aging team. You have a record-breaking season. The time is now to capitalize. We know that. There's pressure on the Bruins. Of course there is. I feel the Bruins are ready to meet it. I'm not worried about pressure with this team. If the Bruins lose, it's going to be because they got outplayed. It's not going to be because they weren't ready. There are some teams where you just don't think they're ready to meet the moment. That's not going to be the Bruins. They're too veteran. They're too experienced. They've been through too much. A lot of them have been through too much together. They're going to be ready to play, and they're going to be ready to deal with this pressure. I'm not worried about that. If they get beat by Florida or anyone else in these playoffs, it's going to be because they got outplayed. I don't think it's going to be because they were nervous, scared, or not ready. And so I trust this team to come out and play the right way. Bad breaks, bad rolls, tough rebound, all that can happen. It's hockey. Okay? Hockey is crazy. Hockey is different than basketball. Okay? The bounce of the puck can decide things. But I truly think the Bruins are going to be ready for the challenge that these playoffs will bring. Marchand has experience, right? He's won a finals. He's been to another finals. Deep playoff runs. Veteran player. He's not going to be intimidated by anything. Bergeron the same way. McAvoy has played in a finals. Okay, Krejci, the same thing. DeBrusk, the same. These players are ready for this. Pasternak, the same. They've all played in the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, they lost that one against the Blues most recently, but they've all been there. And they'll be ready to pass it on to the guys that hasn't. If there's one thing that would worry me about the Bruins and about pressure, I guess I would say it's the goaltending. For years, everyone did all the hand-wringing over Tuukka Rask and whether or not he was elite. Well, now you have two younger, more inexperienced playoff goaltenders. If you're asking me to find a worry about this team, it would be the goaltending, right? Ullmark, a little banged up. Ullmark and Swayman as a tandem, the guys that haven't been in the biggest moments for this team, right? With Tuukka, we can at least say, hey, he's been to the finals. Ullmark and Swayman haven't. Doesn't mean that they're not ready for the moment, but if you're asking me to find a spot to be worried about, that would be it. Right? All the guys in front of them, there's significant experience there. There's significant veteran experience. Even the guys who haven't been with the Bruins, Taylor Hall and Bertuzzi, I feel fine with them. Goaltending would be the spot where I'd be inclined to be more worried. Obviously, the goalie controls a lot of things that happen on the field, or on the ice, I should say, Goalie has a say in a lot of things that happen. So a bad night from your goalie, everybody else can feel comfortable. If your goalie feels pressure, then you're screwed. We'll see how Ullmark and Swayman do. Looks like Ullmark is going to be good to go tonight. That's the word on the street. And, we'll find out here in 45 minutes. I don't believe that the lines have officially been put out yet. I'm going to check Emily Kaplan of ESPN one more time. She does not have anything yet at this point about the starters, about the starting line matchups, or about Patrice Bergeron's availability. I'm going to take one more look at a Bruins specific reporter, and this is Sophia Jerskowitz over at Nesson. She doesn't have anything yet either at this point. So nothing official on the Bruins lines. Texter says Bruins will win this in 6. They're going to be refocused and ready for the challenge the Panthers brought them in the regular season games. I certainly hope so. So Bruins hockey about 45 minutes from now. And yes, I will be watching it today, and we'll have a full recap tomorrow on the show. I told you all along I'm going to be with you on the Bruins playoff run. So it all starts today. So here we go. It's the Brady Farkas Show on DEV. Couple more Red Sox related notes from today's loss to the Angels and the 10-year anniversary of the Boston Marathon bombing and the 10-year anniversary of that Red Sox World Championship team. We'll get to that next on the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes.
Imagine getting ahead of your irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C by treating it with Linzess. Then you could start proactively managing your constipation with belly pain and get ahead of your symptoms. Talk to your doctor about Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Some things are just better together.
Castleton University, Northern Vermont University, and Vermont Technical College are coming together to form Vermont State University, July 2023. The heritage and tradition, the experiential learning and accessibility, the innovative technology and proven career success, all combining to create an emboldened Vermont State University. More courses, experienced faculty, and student activities, creating a high-quality, comprehensive, flexible, and personalized education.
Visit our Castleton, Northern Vermont University, and Vermont Tech open houses through April 24th. Vermont State University is affordable for you with a 15% cut in tuition for fall 2023. Come join us at Northern Vermont University's Linden campus, Friday, April 21st. Learn more about our newly combined university and other location dates at vermontstate.edu/open house.
We're better together as Vermont State University.
Even when we can't be together, Vermonters know we can count on community. Now more than ever, we need to invest in that community. When you invest in Vermont with the Vermont Community Loan Fund, you're investing in Vermonters. Vermonters working the land, growing local food. Vermonters growing local businesses and creating quality jobs. Vermonters building community, one affordable home at a time. And Vermonters educating and caring for the next generation of Vermonters. The Vermont Community Loan Fund's impact investors are investing in equity, access, and opportunity for all Vermonters. A Vermont that lives up to its promise. A Vermont for all Vermonters. Join us. You can invest in Vermont with the Vermont Community Loan Fund. Learn more at investinvermont.org. That's investinvermont.org.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Hello, Ben here from P&R Lumber in Wolfton. Friday night, March 31st, we suffered a fire. With the work for great local fire departments and community, we saved our sawmill. P&R Lumber is open for business. Rough, spruce, and hemlock in stock. Rough white cedar in stock for all your spring projects. Dressed pine, V-groove, shiplap, and square edge in stock. Like our Facebook page for all inventory updates as we come back. Our family at P&R Lumber would again like to thank all the fire departments and local community for their support. P&R Lumber, 472-6636.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. I had somebody ask me at the Leap Energy Fair the other day, Brady, why don't you talk more hockey? Why don't you talk more hockey during the regular season? And I will just tell you straight up. I don't have the ability to learn everything about the league in the course of, the time I got to do everything else for this show. That's just the reality. And in the past, I would try to hide that and I would try to tell you I know everything. I don't. I've got to follow during the season, playoff baseball, Patriots, NBA, UVM, high school, and sometimes our shows are 90 minutes or less. There's not time for everything, and I have then prioritized the things that I need to learn about. In hockey, I just can't learn everything I would need to know to do it justice. Right? The Bruins are playing Carolina on a Tuesday night. I'm not going to be able to learn everything I can about Carolina to bring you a preview. Why do I talk about it in the playoffs? Well, one, it's the playoffs. We're all watching it. But two, I can dig into a series and get the feel of a series, right? I can learn about the Florida Panthers over the course of these next 4, 5, 6, or 7 games. And if they go on to play the Maple Leafs or whoever, I can do the same thing. And I enjoy doing that. It has proven too hard for me to try to learn everything I can about everything. So rather than cheat you on it, I have chosen to really focus on hockey come playoff time. And I can't tell you that that's right or wrong, but I don't want to cheat you on it. And that's what I told the guy at the Leap Energy Fair, that, look, I could talk about the Bruins, but there's a good chance you will know more about it than me if I'm doing it on November 10th or December 10th or February 10th. Come this time of year, I can really get invested in it, right? I'm not worried about the Patriots right now. They're not, except for the draft, the Patriots are not on my plate at this moment. UVM basketball is not really on my plate. So the things on my plate are the Red Sox, the Celtics, and the Bruins. And I can really dedicate the time needed to do it well. If we had a two-man show or we had a group of 10 producers, we could split it up and do it that way. But we don't. That's just reality. So I wish I could bring you more Bruins knowledge during the season. This is the time where I can really get it. So I'm just being to be transparent with you. There was a time in my career where I would try to lie to you and tell you that I know everything. I don't. And I'm not afraid, I'm not embarrassed anymore to admit that. I wish I could do the Bruins more justice through the course of a season. But with everything else that I have to prioritize that I already have a really good inherent knowledge on, the segments always just go that way. Now, those things aren't on the table. The Bruins are, and I'm ready for it as well. Texter wants to text me about the Cincinnati Reds. We're probably not going to get to that in the next 2 minutes. The Red Sox, though, we will talk about. Sox lose today to the Angels. Final score was 5-4. You heard it here on DEV. Hunter Renfroe had the big blast in this one. In the top of the first, he had a 3-run homer off Brian Bayo.
Pitch is swung, and there's a high fly to left field, deep, back by the wall, and it is gone. 3-run homer, Hunter Renfroe, just like that. The Angels have the early lead. Of course, they led 4-0 Saturday with first-inning grand slam by Urshela. The Red Sox came back to win, but they didn't have Ohtani pitching on Saturday.
Yeah, that was tough there. Bayo went just 2 2/3 innings, taken out early, partially for ineffectiveness, but also because of the lengthy rain delay as well. So not a good first start for him. Hard to believe, 10 years since the Boston Marathon bombing. I remember being glued to my television set that night. I was living in Vermont the first time around. I was in Northfield, working at Norwich University, lived with a bunch of other people who worked at Norwich. We were around the television all night. It was just a chilling day, a chilling night, and a chilling memory that I think a lot of us, at least in New England, will not soon forget. Hard to believe also 10 years since those miracle Red Sox won that World Series title, a team that was picked to finish last that ended up winning the World Series and beating the Cardinals, and with a team full of guys like Will Middlebrooks and Johnny Gomes and Ryan Dempster and a lot of guys you heard on radio broadcasts over the weekend. Just a magical run. And I wish I had been in Vermont for good at that time. By the time the season ended and they won the World Series, I was already somewhere else at that point. My contract in Norwich was up in the summer of that year, so I wish I had experienced it with all of you. It was a magical run. Thanks to Aaron Deloney for stopping by. The full interview available on the podcast channel. Jazz with George Thomas is coming up next. We'll see you tomorrow as the Red Sox get ready for the Twins on DEV.
Do you own land with a single or double